Matty, if somebody walks out the gym, drenched in sweat, barely able to walk, and completely exhausted, have they had a good workout?
Arguably, yeah, good workout. Whether it's part of a bigger training plan is yet to be seen. It's not the best indicator of how much quality's gone into that session, but you've obviously moved and got a sweat on. There's nothing wrong with that. I always just think it's part of a bigger picture. How does that look as part of that bigger picture, basically?
Yeah.
Probably depends how, what's the word, probably effective it was or efficient.
But at the end of the day, sweating is just your body's reaction to keeping itself cool, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sweating now doing this. So
Yeah.
I've been doing this for around 2 minutes and I started profusely sweating, but it's like DOMs after the gym as well.
Yeah.
People look at them as indicators of how much quality that session's had. And you get, especially with a lot of entry-level people to the gym, they'll sweat a lot and they'll get unreal DOMs the first time they do a session, and then they settle into it a couple of weeks later. And a message you'll get constantly if you work with entry-level clients is, oh, stop getting sore. I feel like it's not working anymore. And it's not really how it works.
No, not at all. And I mean, I'm 15 years deep and I'm still sweating a lot. That doesn't really change. But why do you think it is that the fitness industry's got everyone convinced that you've got to feel destroyed to sort of make progress in the gym?
Probably stems a lot from old-fashioned attitudes towards the gym. A lot of, whether it's directly linked to like sweating and fatigue directly, I think a lot of things that are still wrong with the fitness industry and the way people approach training these days probably comes from that old kind of Arnie bodybuilder, no pain, no gain attitude. You'll still see it on Instagram now. If you look at somebody's page who's doing really well, or you look at these great strength coaches, all calisthenics ones are always one I like to look at because I think they're incredible athletes. And you'll go on the comments and a lot of the comments will still be a lot of bulky fellas who love lifting, bodybuilding, getting big, and they won't accept anything this person's got to say because they'll call them skinny or weak, or they'll say, how much do you bench? And it's that attitude that still feeds into a lot of the problems, including if you're not really sore or sweating, your session's not worth doing.
I think that's key, isn't it? Within the fitness industry, you've got so many different avenues. You've got the bodybuilders, you've got the power lifters, you've got the Hyrox athletes, CrossFitters.
Gonna get me cancelled.
And everyone's sort of almost against each other. Everyone's working to different goals, but everyone thinks their way of doing it is the best way. And I think that's a little bit of the downfall with it. Instead of like lifting everyone up, I mean, I've had my fair share of digs at the Hyrox people and the Hyrox community, but overall I do think it is a positive sort of space because it's getting people involved in fitness that may not have been, and it's a very low barrier to entry. Everything around it, that's what I don't agree with, I don't like. But before we end up on a hate podcast, what is it that you do with your clients then? Why do you not chase sweat, so to speak?
So my whole thing is getting strong. Now, getting strong, in my opinion, is what it can be. Whatever it means to that client can be something slightly different. So traditionally, strong is lifting heavy weights, powerlifting, world's strongest man. You think of Eddie Hall, all that type of stuff. It's traditional strength. To me, yes. And it all comes back to similar to what you've just kind of touched on about everyone being competing and my way's the best. As long as you know what it is you want to get from your training, strong should get you there. So that can be playing a sport is a prime example. Strong for a sport. So strong for a powerlifter looks far different to strong for a footballer.
Yeah.
Vastly different. Does that mean they're both not strong, holding off a defender compared to lifting a massive Atlas stone or lifting obviously your bench squat or deadlift max? Strong to some people, a lot of my clients, two in particular come to mind, is living pain-free, having the capacity to deal with life's demands. Are you strong enough? Is your body conditioned and strong enough to cope with whatever your life demands off it? Whether that is a sport, whether it is keeping up with your grandkids, whether it's lifting well and being mobile and having a good quality of life. There's a mass spectrum, but it comes down to what are you training for?
Yeah.
What is important to you? And it stems into that. This is why I believe it's such a powerful aim to have, because then that feeds into if it gives you a quality of life, if it makes something better for you, if it elevates your life, hey, trademark, it's going to be important, and that's going to feed into motivation. You know, it's going to drive you forwards. And another thing I'm constantly saying is what is next? And that's never a hard question if you've got that motivation and drive, because getting strong feeds into everything, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think the overarching topic, isn't it, is a baseline level of strength and then specifically guiding that towards whatever your actual goal is. But just going back to what you were saying before about people getting DOMs when they first start out in the gym is usually because quite a lot of people tend to push themselves a bit too hard in the first place.
Yeah.
And that's what puts a lot of people off and why they don't keep up with it consistently, because they go from 0 to 100. They try and go from maybe going once a fortnight to the gym to, right, I'm going to go 5 days a week.
Yeah.
And 5 days
Never going to drink again, no sugar.
Exactly. Isn't that, you've got to slowly stack those habits over time. You've got to build it up from 1 session to 2 to 3. And then eventually further on the line, you can be the 5 session a week person. You're not going to do that in week 1.
No.
And very quickly you'll be back at that 1 session every other fortnight.
Or none. Yeah. You fall off completely because you scare yourself off. It's interesting, again, the way I work with everyone. I had a client day for the first time, an in-face client day about a month ago. And it was really boss to get a big portion of the face-to-face team in a room together. But the vast spectrum of kind of differences across everyone, there's every coach mentor at the minute will constantly hark on about find your niche, who's your demographic, hone in on one specific. I feel like I kind of have done that, but the thing when I had my client day was you're looking around, you had both male, female, ages ranging from 20 years of age to near 70 years of age. And the beautiful thing was the way I view all of them and the methods we instill with all of them is identical. We work the exact same way with absolutely every single one of them. The only part that kind of changes is maybe the entry level for each one.
Yeah.
So we go back to what strong is to somebody who is an entry level client, has never been in the gym before. It is just getting them in, lifting weight, finding out what kind of thresholds the body lie at, like when it comes to working hard, how it feels, getting them familiar with how lifting weights, technique wise, sensation wise, kind of getting them used to that.
What they enjoy as well.
They love it. And obviously they get massive feedback from that because they've never been in the gym. So they are getting stronger. They might complete the first push-up, anything.
It's massive.
It's huge. And then the kind of journey from there is the same for a lot of them. The big aim for those ones for me is to start getting them under barbells, start getting them confident. And then that just opens up everything. And then from there, you go across the spectrum. You might have a very experienced gym goer who plays a sport. And then we get even more specific then we start bringing in things, plyos, training methods that are specific to what it is their sport demands of them. But it kind of, the journey does go across the same. Even those entry level ones, I've had a fair few now and you're going to hate this, that go from that never being in the gym. We get them in, we get them lifting weight. We start getting them moving barbells, getting really confident in what they're capable of. And then they start aspiring towards things like Hyrox, because that's very accessible in the gym as well, especially the one I work at. Or running's a big one. They start booking half marathons or full marathons, some of them.
Yeah.
You start realising what they're capable of. And then that opens up a whole new avenue of training for them, because then we get very specific and they start learning what they're capable of. And it just catches fire and it's boss. Like, it genuinely is one of the best parts of the job.
So how would you manage the expectations of these people that are just starting out? Because like I said, so many people come in and try to go from 0 sessions a week to I'm going to go 5 days a week. How do you manage the expectation to say, right, we're actually going to start off with maybe twice a week? The modern way is everything's in an instant these days. You can get, food delivered to your door in 20 minutes. You can get an Amazon delivery same day in some instances. The gym's not the same. You can't cheat the hard work and the long hours in the gym.
It's managing expectation from like initial consultations, explaining it's not setting it up as a partnership. First of all, clients and coaches have to meet halfway. It's a partnership. It's not a coach working for a client. It's not a client working for a coach. Hard work meets in the middle.
Yeah.
I'm managing that, Rome wasn't built in the day. You can't cheat the hard work. But there will be massive wins along the way. That's one thing you have to highlight with entry-level clients. There's wins every week. They might not be the massive, massive wins that they're expecting within the first 2-3 weeks, but you manage that. And you take them through how that might look before you even start. We have aims, you have goals, of course, and there's little marker points along the way. But the beauty of working with entry-level people sometimes is they get that much feedback from doing very little, because, or respectfully, very little in comparison to maybe a much more experienced gym goer because they've never been in before. Once they get in and start training properly, and you do manage that, we're not going to do 5 sessions a week. I will tell entry-level people, if you can prove to me you can complete 2 or 3 consistently for the first 4 to 6 weeks, maybe, you'll be rewarded by getting that 4th session in or that 5th session. But a lot of people we work with as well, they're not professional athletes. So there's other factors like work and home life that you have to take into consideration as well. It's not just the case that their body won't keep up with the physical demand if they jump straight to 5 sessions a week. It's also that they might not have time around work and they've got to figure out that part of the routine, and that's very much on them really, around work and family life, because that's another thing that will just overwhelm them and give them an excuse to stop if you do too much too soon.
Yeah. And for me as well, I find that some people set goals so big that it scares them from starting in the first place. And like you were saying, it's those little wins along the way. You can have this massive goal. I'd say, for instance, you had a client that was looking for fat loss. Maybe they want to lose 3 stone. That's the big goal. But guess what? There's loads of multiple little 2 and 3 pound losses along that way that you can sort of tick off and get that little dopamine kick.
Yeah, massive. A client, I mean, he was entry level. He come in, and I will say he came in and he's just turned 40. He's never really been in a gym. From the off, he was just lifting well. He clearly had a base level of athleticism that if he'd have tapped into in his 20s, maybe could have been really exciting. It still really is exciting, to be fair, because within the first 3 months, we got him in. We did that foundational work with him. We got him lifting barbells, got him quite confident. He just booked a marathon. Wow. I want to start running. So, okay, that's a big aim. Gave himself kind of the year to do it, and that's what we've been waiting. It's coming up in, it's like 3 weeks' time.
Wow.
So it's come around really quick, to be fair. That was the big goal. And don't get me wrong, very confident fella, and I can probably say it now because we're getting quite close. There's no doubt he's going to smash it in the next 3 weeks. But obviously, we've had lots of little goals along the way. We had his first 10K at the beginning of the year, and he blew that out of the water.
His first 10K was at
the beginning of the year.
Wow.
It was January, might even have been February. Oh yeah, it was like
just 4 times that.
But then he's done a half since 3 months ago, I think it was. No, it probably wasn't that long. Smashed that out of the water. Obviously, we've built up the runs on a Sunday every week, so we know he's got the miles in his legs and stuff. And to manage that expectation, the aim of this particular marathon, because it is a trail marathon and it's got a lot of elevation, it's a very, very tricky one to start with. Like, honestly, we're not actually setting a time on this one.
Get it done.
It's the whole point of this one is getting up. That comes back to managing expectations as well. But he's had those wins across. There's been weeks where I'm sure, I know he's felt that maybe, I've bit off more than I can chew. And then he goes and maybe does his 10K, and then he does his half, and you've got them. The tangible, they're there. You can say, look what you've done so far.
Yeah.
Like, if nothing else, go and give it a go.
Yeah.
That's all you've been doing for a year anyway.
Yeah. Like you go back to as well, I think people get so caught up on the time that they get, because I've done it myself. At the end of the day, like you were mentioning, these people aren't professional athletes. They've got home lives. They're doing it around a full-time job.
Marathon training. You've run a marathon?
I did a half.
Even a half.
2 halves.
The time it takes up, because there's no 20-minute jogs. You're going out for hours.
An hour,
minimum,
2 hours.
every single time. If you've got kids on top of that, like, my hat's off to anybody that does it. Absolutely everybody.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you'll catch me doing a full. I'm not built for it, to say the least. I think I said, to be fair, after my last half marathon that that was it, me done. But because I turned up, I was ill all week, and I didn't get the time I wanted. I was like, I've got to do another one now.
I'm scratched the itch. Just there. I know I can do better.
But I'm also like, I really enjoy my sprint training now.
Yeah,
this is more me. So just going back to, you said about it doesn't have to be no pain, no gain. What would you say to someone that is sort of feeling cheated by the fact they're going into the gym and they're not necessarily feeling that feeling afterwards where they're a bit achy? Can you still make progress off the back of that without the aches?
Yeah, absolutely you can. Absolutely. Another thing I talk about constantly is something I call the minimal effective dose.
Yes.
It's kind of a medical term about, difference between medicine and poison is all dosage. If you have a headache and you take 2 paracetamol, smack bang, perfect. If you take 10 paracetamol, your headache will go. Yeah. But you'll get some dodgy, scary side effects, problems with it as well. You'll certainly make sure the headache goes, but that might be because you fell asleep for a long time. And you kind of do that with your training as well. There's times to push. I'm not saying there's not times to push where you will absolutely shred yourself. It's all dependent on your goal. But for most people, especially when we have either lives to get on with, or more importantly, with some clients, sports to play as well. And you don't want to go to train and do your strength session on a Tuesday, then a Wednesday go to training and be too sore to get the benefit from your sport, because that is the most important thing when it comes to sport specific training, is the sport itself. But that kind of principle applies to everybody. And this minimal effective dose is where we train to an intensity where we just teeter into the adaptation we want. But if we go any further, we slip into fatigue, we come down, and injury risk goes up and quality goes down. So there's almost arguably no point in doing it. The only, or one of the only times I would say we want to be pushing is when we're obviously looking at building muscle, hypertrophy. That's a time to push to near failure, if not failure, quite a lot. But like we said before, that isn't the only training style. Although a lot of people still think that is the only reason to go to the gym, it absolutely is not. And for a lot of people, it's not the right way to train. There's so much variable, and there's so much more to aim for than just going in to get big.
Yeah. And like you were saying about the minimal effective dose, I've always said to like my clients and people that have asked me for advice is get the most out of the smallest weight possible. One, you're going to make sure that your form is staying good. You're going to obviously reduce the risk of injury because you are lifting a smaller weight. But if you're getting the most out of it, you're going to be safer doing so, pushing it. Yeah, everyone thinks going to the gym is bodybuilding. I'm going there to lift weights because I'm now a bodybuilder. And a lot of people get worried about that, especially you see it from women, scared about sort of turning into She-Hulk. And it's just not the case. We're not, built the same as a man to begin with in terms of testosterone. And it's hard to grow muscle.
Growing muscle is the hardest thing to do in the gym, in my opinion. It does not happen by accident. Again, I've still work with clients, females as well, who have that worry. I do a lot of 5-rep, 3-rep maxing. So lifting heavy for obviously shorter reps in that kind of strength zone. And it's a very different sensation to pushing to failure. It's a different type of fatigue. Yeah. Trying to get clients to differentiate between them is tough if they've not got the experience, but it's very hard for them to accidentally build muscle. I've got clients who their sole aim is to put muscle on, or they might be in a hypertrophy phase before we go into a new strength phase to build the muscle to get the capacity for strength up. Yeah. And it's still hard to get them to push the true failure. Very few people understand what true kind of mechanical tension and failure actually feels like. It's really tough to motivate yourself to do every single day. And then you've got the recovery, the food side. It just doesn't happen by accident. You have to stack up. All these things have to align in order to really pack on. If you start lifting weights and you've not done it before, you are going to get physique changes. There's unfortunately a lot of pressure on women still to even look mildly what is deemed as masculine. I don't quite like that terminology because I don't think looking athletic and muscular is a exclusively masculine thing. I think it's just what we've been led to believe by society over the years. So I don't actually think there's anything wrong if you want to go down that route. Of course there isn't. But because of those same kind of pressures, a lot of women still fear probably hard work because they think the result of hard work is going to be turning out into a bodybuilder. Yeah. And it's quite hard. It's like a lot of things though. It's quite a hard cycle to break because it's just something people have heard for the last 50 years.
But there's so many trends, isn't there, societally, with especially women and looks. Like sometimes it's like skinny's in, now it's strong glutes are in, and
skinny's coming back.
Yeah, it seems to be coming back. Yeah. It's not good. And I think, if you do see a woman with a little bit of muscle, like it's respectable because you know how much work it takes for a woman to put that muscle on. Never mind a man putting muscle on with all the testosterone that we have.
Why? I always say, why do we deem kind of athletic or muscular physiques as like traditionally attractive? I always no idea there's any proof to this, but I always delve into like why is that deemed as traditionally that's an attractive figure? It's probably nothing to do with the actual figure. It's probably all the kind of traits that it connotates,
like work that goes into
discipline, hard work, commitment. They're attractive traits in a relationship. Yep. And it's just a physical representation of those traits. Why on earth it's been deemed to become like a negative thing, especially for women, is beyond me. It's attractive traits.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
It's hard work and everyone has the right to showcase that, really.
Yeah. I totally agree. And with what you were saying before then about obviously strength is the foundation for every program that you have. Obviously, the strength aspect applies to everyone. How do you then train specifically for the goal once it gets to it? Is it about building that baseline of strength up and then going specifically into what they're interested in? Or do you have a goal for, say, if someone doesn't play a sport, what's the goal from there?
Okay, so it probably goes back to entry level a lot of like, where's this client coming in to work with me? Where have they been before?
Yeah.
What's their experience in the gym like? Have they worked with a coach before? So are you asking, sorry, what changes once they decide or how it changes?
What's the point where you change? So you've built that base level of strength and sort of fitness up. What is the change then from there?
So again, question I constantly ask clients is, what is next?
Yeah.
What is next? Because you should never stop moving forwards. There's always some way to improve, and that's fluid. Obviously, it could be this. We could veer off and go into something else. But as long as we're moving forwards, that's good. That's what we want. What you find a lot of natural progressions actually are similar to the client I was talking about with the marathon before, though that's a very extreme one. But it is a pattern I see a lot. You probably see it a lot with people who get in touch with youth coaching as well. A lot of people come to you because they're lost. I work on a gym floor still, a busy local gym. I obviously know a lot of people in there. A lot of people, the conversations I have constantly are that they're all fit, healthy. Some of them I describe as very athletic as well. And they're just missing that spark.
A bit of direction. And they're the ones, these are the kind of journeys I find really interesting, because I will die on the hill of what I believe in kind of strength training. It can also be a really good placeholder. So everyone likes beating a PB. Yeah.
Everyone likes feeling strong. I don't care who you are. You like the feeling of lifting a heavy weight and beating, whether it's a 5 rep, 3 rep, 1 rep max. So I've worked with those in the past where they come in and I say, me 3 months, we'll work towards just getting you what I would describe as generically strong.
Yeah.
I work on like press, pull, squat movements. We'll test. We'll put a big 12-week, maybe 12 week, it might be between 8 and 12.
Yeah.
We'll put a big chunk of time and effort into getting you stronger in these movements. We'll assess any weaknesses. We'll have a lot of accessory work around that. Usually if they're a little bit lost and they need direction, I'll say, and if there's anything you want to work on in the meantime, if it's a male client, usually it's like, I wouldn't mind having a bit of shoulder and arm kind of, building a little bit in those areas. Females, it might be glutes. So we'll put in a little bit of accessory work around that too. 99% of the time, within that time period of around 3 months, they will fall in love with that feeling. They will get exactly the same thought process, I imagine, as my marathon client got, and start feeling capable and think, oh, how do I want to showcase this newfound strength? And they'll look around at what other people are doing in the gym, what's on Instagram. They'll book things like Hyroxes, half marathons. They might want to go and try, a fit event, just something that's maybe tickled the fancy over the years and they've never had the confidence to pursue. Suddenly they'll start thinking about it. A prime example, not actually a client, a friend of mine who I've just helped across again around 3-4 months, just every so often a little chat, just done a first pull up. Quite a good starting point, but has never been able to pull up. It's just done one. I know for a fact she'll start thinking, right, I'm capable of that. I never thought I'd do. It's what's next. That'll be a natural thought. And if we were to have a conversation, client to coach in that aspect, you're there to direct as well. Another person has liked Hyrox in the past, so I would be like that kind of, not that a pull-up's directly transferable into Hyrox, but that attitude of,
there's a baseline level.
There's a baseline there. We didn't take
from
that tiny little aspect. We can put it across numerous things, make you feel this good across the board, and then we can direct it into something like a Hyrox event, a running event. Absolutely anything that makes you go, I get it.
It's just about finding your thing, isn't it? And once you find that thing that you enjoy, that you're training towards, it becomes a lot more enjoyable, a lot more sustainable in the long run. And you just touched on about like people going for different events. Some people step into things like fitness photo shoots. What are your thoughts around the fitness photo shoots?
I get myself cancelled.
Especially with you being more interested in the strength and performance side of things.
I struggle with fitness photo shoots. I think it takes a very, 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 very niche and specific type of coach to do it properly. And I think that very, very niche and specific type of coach has to work with a very, very, very niche and specific type of client in order for it not to be damaging in some way.
Yes.
I'm not saying all photo shoots are bad. I'm saying a lot of the experience I've seen with people doing photo shoots can be risky. You see a lot of young women who have enough pressure, like we spoke before, about weight loss, not looking too big. And you see them getting put on, it's basically poverty calories for, obviously there's a big build phase, and that part I think is positive. They're in the gym, they're lifting, they've got purpose. That part for me is brilliant. But then they go into poverty calories for a couple of weeks, and then they strip down, then they'll carb load, they'll go get a photo. And what always kills me is they always have a cake afterwards. It's always like, it's glorified restrict and binge. And again, if you're very switched on and you're very certain as to why you're doing this and what it's for, and I just want that one photo in that booth, or a photo on holiday. Sometimes people do it in the same idea for just going on holiday. I just want that one picture on the beach, day one. And you're very, very aware that it isn't real strength, real fitness. It's an aesthetic kind of cheat code almost, and it's not sustainable. Okay. And I'm convinced that the very, very big majority don't realize that. And I think it's attractive to vulnerable people who maybe have never been in the gym. And you see a lot of people's entry into fitness is things like that. And it sets such a bad precedent for the rest of their life and journey. I struggle with them.
I really agree massively, but with what you say in terms of the specific coach, and I'm not having to go at any specific coach here, but you've got to have the same level of knowledge, I think, as someone that's prepping someone for a bodybuilding competition.
Absolutely.
Because it's the same level, well, not quite the same level of body fat that you're taking someone down to, but it's not far away. And I've spoke to girls that have been in our gym that have done them, and they've lost menstrual cycles off the back of it, which is a sign that you cannot reproduce. So that
your body can't survive childbirth.
Exactly. It's not capable of birthing a child, which to me is horrendous.
Yeah, it's scary.
They get caught up in that loop, like you say. So they do this thing, they feel all right for a day. Well, saying that, they probably don't even feel all right on the day. It's probably the worst they'll feel during that 12-week prep, because they're on that low calories. They'll feel awful, really low energy. And then, like you say, they have the cake afterwards. They go on this binge. They basically go back to square one within a week or two. And then they get caught up in this loop because they see those photos from the photo shoot and they think, I've got to do another one now.
Why don't I like that?
There's a lot of repeat people that you see doing the fitness photo shoot time and time again.
I have a lot of it's not like, not trying to be like the big vigilante of photo shoots, but I have a lot of opinions on us as coaches. You're in a position of trust, and you are. It's too easy to get qualified. We all know it's too easy to qualify. And I hold my hands up, when I was newly qualified and some of the things I used to do, you look and go, wow, out of total naivety. But it's easy to get qualified, and people instantly put you in this position of trust because that's what you are, because you are qualified. You've got a certificate to say, I can be trusted.
Yeah, someone looks up to you as well.
Yeah, and people do. And I think you need to realise that your words hold a lot of value to people, and your opinions and the things you say in passing, if you're a face-to-face coach, with your client in sessions that you won't remember, carry weight. So if you're teaching someone that you're singing their praises up when they've hit a certain weight on the scale or something, that's going to stick with that person. And remember, when clients come to you, they're vulnerable.
Yes.
Whatever the reason is, they're asking for help for whatever reason. So they are in a vulnerable position. So to take that, and I don't think it's consciously with a lot of people, but to exploit it to obviously make money as a coach, because you are a business, but then exploit it to take their transformation photo, post it all over your Instagram, and then get the next wave of vulnerability in. Morally, I do disagree with it. Again, I'm not saying everyone, and I think
there's some people that do it right, but there's a lot of people that I don't think are qualified enough to go and do it.
Especially and I'm sorry to bring females up again, because the bodies, because you get a lot of male coaches doing it with females only, which is another red flag, I think, in coaching. But unless they are massively, massively, massively qualified and educated.
People's hormones at the end of the day.
Females are a lot more hormonal than us men. So it's not even like you can fall on your own experience of how you felt when you did it, which is shit coaching anyway. But people do that as well. I just find them, it's after just speaking about it for 10 minutes, trying not to shit all over it. What I'd always describe it as safely is I think there's always better ways. That high you're chasing, again, if you read through the background of how I created Elevate, which is obviously my branding and stuff, it was born from me chasing similar things, trying to be ripped, trying to chase that, not necessarily the scales for me personally, but certainly how I looking in the mirror. I wanted to be shredded. I wanted to look like this person, that person. I was constantly, and if I didn't think I looked like that, I wasn't happy. And I kind of got there. And the weird thing was, when I got there, it wasn't enough. It had to be more. And that's that cycle again.
Yeah.
And it took a real big kind of snap to snap out of that. And I worked with a coach, and that changed my attitude big time into chasing down different types of goals. So strength being the big one that stuck with me, because that high you're chasing, so that high you might have on photo shoot day for half an hour or however long,
lived, isn't it?
I think you get it from walking around feeling strong, feeling confident, knowing you're capable of, the weekend you smashed a half marathon out or a PB, you're going into the gym this weekend to a new strength phase, you're lifting heavy weights, you are constantly doing hard shit, whether it's in the gym, on the road, in your sport, and that confidence of just constantly feeling that way. And because you're doing things like the minimal effective dose, you're constantly capable of it because you're not exhausting yourself, constantly chasing this unachievable goal. I think that feeling is a lot better than stuffing your face with a cookie pie after getting a photo shoot for an hour.
It's the one sport, so to speak, in bodybuilding where you will feel the worst at your peak. Like you say, for me as well, I've been there. I've chased the let's get shredded and let's lose a bit of weight and all of that stuff. Like now, I'm not quite the heaviest I've ever been, but I'm not far off. And it's the strongest I've felt. I've been capable of doing a 2-hour half marathon at 107 kilos. And then within 4 weeks, I've gone and done the Bike Championships and came 12th in the world after 4 weeks of training. So like, if I was super low calories, I'm not going to be able to go and do any of that. You've got to fuel your sessions. Food is fuel at the end of the day. And by restricting yourself for the sake of a couple of photos with you stood there in your bills with some fake Santa is absolutely baffling for a few likes on Instagram. Yes, there's a time and a place for the fitness photo shoots, I think. But if it's purely for the vanity metric of a couple of likes on Instagram, you're in it for the wrong reason.
Isn't it? As how many times people talk about that in other context as well, but because it's supposed to be empowering, supposed to be, and I'm not taking away from the hard work people do to get them photos. I just couldn't. I like food and I like feeling capable in the gym, and it just isn't something that appeals to me, but it's not to take away from the discipline. Same as bodybuilding, huge discipline, huge. Try not to tie the two in because bodybuilding tends to be a little bit more thought out, a little bit more regal, whereas photo shoots, I envisage that and I relate that to very much people who maybe don't have the knowledge themselves and they're putting the trust in coaches.
And like you say, they're in a vulnerable position.
Yeah, and it's just sad that that's that person's entry to fitness.
Yeah,
again,
it gives you some really toxic traits with like dealing with food as well, I think.
I've probably come across as a coach undoing them with clients, but you've got to be so delicate with it because that client might have been told for 3 months by somebody else they trust that this was right, this is the only way to do it, because that coach needed to get them over the line for the photo. But again, going back to everything you say as a coach can be taken as gospel, as it kind of should, because that's your job. But that's where you've got to realize. That's where you've got to realize your position of trust. And I've got countless clients over 6 years been doing the job now, where you face down those habits that they build either on their own through societal pressures or with a coach, and the ones with the coach are harder to get through because although we're kind of sitting there doing it now, it's not specific. Whereas with a client, you would have to specifically call their old coach a dickhead.
Yeah.
And it's never good just to go in and do that.
You don't want to be hating on people,
And it's not for me to hate on other people. My job's to help you get where you want to go, not for me to say, well, you've wasted 6 months of your life there. Geez, that's not a good thing. It doesn't help anyone. But it's hard to undo and unpick toxic traits when you're trying to skirt around things like that.
Well, I've had clients in the past where they've come to me for fat loss, and they're like, I'm like, right, well, where are you at now? Like, what are you eating? And they're like, oh, I'm on like 1,200 calories. I'm like, okay,
Poverty calories.
red flag already. And they're like, I just don't know why I'm not losing weight. I'm like, well, starters, we're going to get you up to maintenance calories, and we're actually going to get you fueling your sessions in the gym, because quite often, if you're on that low calories, you can't be arsed moving. So the first thing we need to do is actually just get you in a routine. So we're actually putting your calories up. I hate to break it to you. I mean,
I've got to eat food.
Yeah, exactly. Oh no. But like, you've got to sort of frame it in the way that this food is going to give you energy to actually move more, which you can potentially actually start losing weight on higher calories to begin with.
Another thing, another catchphrase that I constantly say is get strong, the rest follows.
Yes.
And there is, I know the catchy taglines on Instagram, we all have to market and we all have to, but again, I've had it spewed back at me a few times by clients, just like, oh yeah, it's working. But it is the idea, a lot of people come in, I will constantly put fat loss as a secondary benefit. We will not strictly focus on fat loss.
Performance goals, isn't it?
Performance, constant performance, obviously primarily strength, but again, as we've discussed, strength can mean a number of things. It doesn't just have to mean bench press PB. It can mean, it can showcase itself in so many different ways. What we kind of talk about on Elevate Method then is we'll get you lifting, moving, performing. If you have, aesthetic goals, because again, everyone's a real person that you're working with. Nobody really is a professional athlete. So a prime example at the minute, another client that got a wedding coming up this week. So 5-6 weeks ago, this particular client was caught fire this year as well. He has fell in love with just lifting heavy shit in the gym.
I think,
and it's brilliant. It's class. Like, you do get clients that we're talking about, like tangible goals, about marathon sports. Some people will just chase numbers in the gym and constantly get that high from beating their rack pull PB and stuff. And he's caught fire, and it's been a joy to watch. It's just been class, and it makes me smile every time. But he's got a wedding that he's going to, his daughter's wedding this week. So all we've done is, obviously, as you go along with nutrition, we treat it as like an educational thing. We put a focus on it after the gym is sorted, so to speak. And
you need that routine in the base.
Entry level obviously dictates how long that is. But with this particular client, then we sat down, we had a drop-in meeting, and we went and got coffee. And again, talking about old attitudes and that towards food, because that's a whole other, and that is so specific to every individual. That's why we do drop-in. We don't ever touch it in our sessions or anything, because we're there to lift, to perform. And we just spoke about good eating. Now, good eating's a whole other ballpark again, because we're so far down the rabbit hole with how bad our food is, especially in this country, that in order to eat well is seen as weird.
Yeah,
I still get comments from my friends and family like,
when you're weighing out your food,
you're eating healthy. It's like, I'm just eating normal. Like, I like cake, I like a pint. We're in a pub, for God's sake. Like, I like a pint, but as a baseline, just eating well. We highlighted that to this client, and then I always treat it as like your baseline, your base meals. Eat well, get the nutrients, get the things you need on board. Your snacking and your habits will kind of become a lot easier to control if you get the base meals down first.
Yeah.
And then it's just a case of just change these little few things. And all that's done is just, although it's technically fat loss, I try and stay away from saying that because I'm not a fat loss coach, but that's just enabled him. And it's not been tough for this client. He's just basically cut out a few needless things, maybe swap them in with something a little bit more nutritionally dense.
But it's not about completely getting rid of the things you enjoy either. It's about having the balance to, because otherwise, if you completely cut out, it's kind of like the 0 to 100 thing with actually go in the gym. If you go from having these things that you enjoy to then completely not having them, guess what you're going to crave?
You crave them.
And you're going to end up binging.
Life's for living as well, by the way. Exactly. You're allowed a bit of cake. Like,
exactly.
It's just, let's have a look at what you're doing, why we're in the position we are. Okay, so with the nutrition, we've got the gym sorted, this, right? I'll talk about this. Obviously, we're working to quite a small deadline. It was like, I think it was 7-8 weeks when we had the sit down. So it's like, if we just do this, that, and that, you continue to train at your heart as you're doing, you will see a compositional change. You will, because nothing else is changing other than basically your calorie intake's going down. And when you word it like that, this client is quite black and white. You can just say how it is, and it's great. He went, oh, is it that easy? I was like, yeah.
Yes.
Not for everyone, it isn't. There's other kind of, emotional, physical, things that you have to get around. But for this client, it was. He's done it. He's continued to train really well. He's actually probably eating better. He's still smashing the heavy lifts every week. He feels great. Constantly tells me how good he's feeling because he's feeling strong. Obviously, that's carrying himself better. He's going to walk his horse down the aisle this week with his chest up in a nice new fitted suit, feeling hopefully brilliant. Not only because his lovely daughter's getting married, I'm sure he's very, very happy about that, but because he feels really good in himself going. And that is literally, from my point of view, just from being consistent in the gym, tracking, which I know we're probably going to talk about soon, so I harken about that constantly. So his numbers have gone up. So he knows he's progressing. And then food-wise, it's just been a few smart swaps, a few little changes, because he doesn't eat poorly. He's not somebody that is like, wow. He eats relatively well. And that's just enabled a few compositional things just to aid his hard work and make himself feel better. Because again, there's nothing wrong with wanting to be a little bit, change your composition aesthetically, chase something a little bit, because that's normal to want to look a little bit better as well.
Well, there's the if it fits your macros approach, isn't there? Which some people disagree with, but I think for the everyday average person, I would go for that approach probably 9 times out of 10.
Yeah.
If you can focus, I always say, focus on your protein. Once that's hit, your carbs and fats will probably follow.
Yeah.
You don't need to worry too much about them unless you're massively off. I was like, if you can hit your protein target, you'll be there or thereabouts with carbs and fats.
We call it just eat like an adult. I know it's really, it's really patronizing, but eat like an adult's kind of the catchphrase with our food. Now, again, different entry levels. I've had clients where, and if clients are literally, because it's not the client's fault, I actually think education on food, again, in this country is awful.
Yeah.
So the client comes in and we are focusing on getting strong, but their eating habits are going to have a direct effect on that. So we talk about, we're not chasing, we always put fat loss as a secondary benefit, secondary goal, sorry. But eating as a whole doesn't just mean fat loss. It means fueling sessions and recovering.
Yeah.
So if that's not right, it's going to affect getting strong. So that's where they all go hand in hand, of course, but we use things like food diaries and obviously tracking and stuff. But if and I've worked with a client the past couple of years who came in, and respectfully, I'm yet to see a worse kind of understanding of diet ever. Not this person's fault. Again, education around it has been piss poor, but down to the fact that this person didn't even know that calories and liquids counted.
Oh,
I'd like that that kind of naive to it, which in some ways, as a coach, you say that massive change straight away, because I was drinking an awful lot of fizzy pop.
Right.
But it's almost, it's a real privilege as a coach to have clients like that, because you are the person that, although it's we take it for granted, and you've got to be careful not to do that as a coach, how much you understand nutrition. Even if you think it's like baseline, that just means you were fortunate when you were younger to be taught about it. But even with that extreme example, all we did was change little things each week within a couple of months, because you manage expectations.
Diet pop, still drinking pop.
Yeah. Food diaries come back in, compare that to 6 months ago, and oh my God, like completely different. It's like looking at a McDonald's menu compared to like a 5-star restaurant, like with the colour and the macros. But we've never once spoke about macros in detail.
Right.
We've never once really, I've never ever gave a meal plan out in my life. Not a nutritionist.
No.
Made advisory comments each week, judging on the food diaries, made suggestions on how to swap, how to do this, and taking it by week educational way. We went from that kind of food diary to something that was much more eating like an adult.
Yeah.
And the results we've had from that have been phenomenal. All while gym. Lifting weights, getting strong has been the primary focus. This was like a side hustle. And that's how we work with nutrition, basically.
Yeah. I come from a corporate background, so I hear a lot of absolute dribble around the office, and I have to keep my mouth shut because I'm like, I can't. Like, obviously, there's a lot of, the older generation, probably more like parents' age, especially the women, still getting caught up in the slimming worlds of the work and all that sort of thing. And it's like the education just isn't there. And like, you hear some of the things, I'm like, where did you get that from?
It's like, not even that. Sometimes it's how they're willing to die on a hill sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
Doesn't matter that you've got a backlog of hundreds of clients that something you're saying has proven itself to be worthy.
Yeah.
Because it's not that person's experience. No, that's not right. It's like, it is. It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to work in an office and there was only one other person in there for the most part, sometimes a couple of others if they were traveling through. And it's so hard to be different in an office. Again, eating healthy in an office is seen as weird. Yeah. And I remember struggling with that.
I get it all the time. Like people go into the office canteen and they're like, "Oh, have you got your chicken and rice?" Yeah, and I'm like, yeah, because one, the canteen food's crap and it's expensive.
Yeah.
Even though it's subsidised, it's not. They just put weird decimal places afterwards. Instead of it being like $5.99, it's like $6.32.
See, there's been money took off that. We did it with the calculator.
It's ridiculous. But yeah, the education system is truly at fault for people's...
It's poor. Down to people don't understand how calories work.
Even in the PT qualification is awful. Yeah, it gives you a baseline.
It's too easy to get qualified. It's GCSE PE glorified. I
don't even know if it's that level.
And by the way, you need to have a baseline of it's where online coaches that have never gone to get qualified. There's an argument, well, it's not worth your time because it's not.
Yeah, you don't actually have to have it. It's not a requirement.
But for me, it's well, it's not what you learn on it. It shows a level of commitment that you have to want to help people. You go and get qualified. Obviously, the online side's a bit of a grey area because it's a newish industry. So insurance-wise, you don't need insurance to coach online. No. But it's it feels like you're just doing it as a quick buck because you haven't took the time to go educate yourself. And if you're not doing the baseline of your level 3, I wouldn't be trusting you to do the further reading and the continual professional development you should be doing as a coach. Level 3 is the baseline, but you learn fuck all on it, really. You learn a bit. It's never to say you don't learn anything. You do.
Basic, though.
It's very basic. You have to constantly be educating and developing as a coach, and you do that by reading. You do it in the moment with clients sometimes. There's been times over the last 6 years you might not fully understand something. You have to go and find out why to stop it happening again. That's how you become a better coach, and that's how you evolve your service to become the best you can be and not just be a level 3 PT.
Yeah.
I did a post of the week. I constantly say I'm not a personal trainer. I'm a coach. I feel like a personal trainer is a tag you just get once you get that certificate.
Yeah.
To be a coach, you have to spend time with people. You have to solve problems. You have to know people as well. Coaching isn't telling you how to get from point A to point B. You might see it as a straight line. Somebody else won't. You have to know how to adapt your explanation to make that person understand. And face to face, you have to do that in the moment.
Yeah.
And it's boss. It's a thrill when you manage to do that.
It's a skill, isn't it?
God, the analogies I've come up with on that gym floor, some of them are embarrassing, but be work.
Yeah.
Whereas again, the online side can be a little bit, it can be harder in some ways because you haven't got that.
I personally only do online because I've obviously got a full-time job as well, but I'm qualified. I got all my qualifications done. And although I've never done sort of a paid in-person PT session, I've trained enough of my mates.
Oh, mate,
it's almost like I've done coaching sessions anyway. And I've like my brothers, my parents, I've walked them through enough times that I've got that.
Coaching online it is the same as coaching in person.
Yeah.
It's the same principle.
A little bit.
It's just, how you set things up in your business is a massive one, because there's so many, you're not just at the beck and call all the time on the phone to clients, are you? But that's a different problem itself. But it's the same principle. It's the qualification. It's that idea of if I had an online coach and I found out they weren't actually qualified, not that I think that qualification puts them in, it's not the knowledge, it's the principle of,
it's the commitment to actually get it.
You didn't do the baseline thing to me. It says you don't care enough about this job to do it properly. It's just a bit of an online hustle because it's PT is one of the things that people do when they have a bit of a crisis. And I make loads of money out of that. It's dead easy. I could just work from my laptop. Go live in Dubai. Easy.
Lockdown, I think, sort of encouraged that as well. And I think, to be fair, at one point I did consider going into PT full time, but then I got a step up in my job and stuff, and it just didn't make sense for me to step out of it.
I fell into it. I was doing my qualifications alongside acting work because it was perfect to it seemed perfect to merge around, obviously going to auditions. I was going to London quite a lot. And then this was all lockdown kind of time. And then I lost kind of a number of jobs in lockdown. And then I had a normal job in kind of a call center as I was literally finishing my qualifications. And the idea was to phase out part-time.
Mm.
And I got let go of that job. So I just kind of went for it.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it was so hard. First 2 years, mate, where I look back and be like, how on earth like I managed to keep going, as a lot of coaches do, but that's how hard it is. And if you haven't even got the time or effort to go and get your qualifications, you ain't going to get through those tough times, because you'll realize it's not an easy job.
No,
it's not.
It's not.
It's not an easy
It's a
job.
skill, though. Like, to have human connection is a skill. There's so many people that I've seen in gyms over the years, and it's not to hate on anyone, but there's young people that are getting these PT qualifications, going onto the gym floor, and they literally can't speak to a human.
No, I mean, I've spoken
That in
to one.
itself,
It goes down to, again, sound like one of those mentors that I was talking about before, kind of taking the piss out of. But we talk about like your niche. There's a very young PT at work now who's absolutely lovely, and the argument could have been said for this, like, as a 30-year-old man or woman, you're not going to go to an 18-year-old to train you. Very rarely, you might do.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean like a freshly qualified 19, 20-year-old PT doesn't have experience that you can share with certain people. If you're 20 and you're in the gym, and, you know, try not to be too specific to this example, but you're a young female, 18, 19-year-old females will look up to that and think, they say you are your ideal client, essentially, a version of you. So people will always look up to you, and there's always people you can help. It's just, obviously,
you've got to just know your demographic.
Because what's the problem you're solving, basically? What is, I said before, the problem I had was I was going down that aesthetic route. I was constantly just measuring myself, mate, falling off. I was so frail. I think about how I felt, like, both physically and mentally at that time.
Especially considering you do boxing as well.
Yeah, like, I broke my nose and around, probably edging out of it at that point, but like, injuries, like everything. And then obviously I fell into how I believe now through working with a coach. But that kind of idea, not specifically like, but that journey tends to be similar to a lot of clients that end up coming towards you, because obviously they see it on Instagram and they relate to it.
Yeah.
And that could be the same for someone. It doesn't matter if they're 18, 30, 40, how much experience they've got. It's kind of your life experience that feeds into your job a lot and makes you probably attractive to potential clients.
Yeah.
You've just got to put that into your mission statement of what your business wants to solve. I think all good coaches do that.
Yeah. Well, that's it. You've got to find your niche, not even necessarily niche, your just client base, your ideal client base, because like you say, a 50-year-old fella's probably not going to go get advice off a 20-year-old woman that's fresh out of, a PT qualification and potentially only got a couple of years experience in the gym herself. It's going to be the girls that are sort of just starting out in the gym that are maybe 15, 16, 17, in that sort of age range. And they're the people that she's got to go and not target, but sort of reach out to and appeal to.
As that coach gets older, more experienced, that will evolve with them.
Of course.
And that's the beauty of it. And then by the time, if you're still doing it in 10 years' time, you've got this vast spectrum of people you've helped. You've learned something from every single one of them. Yeah. And suddenly you are this very, very, very qualified coach for probably similar demographic still, but a much wider net to cast, because you've got the life and the coaching experience to confidently come across as well to potential clients that you are the person for them.
Yeah.
Because that's what you need to essentially sell to potential clients is you can help. And if you don't believe that because you're cheating it and you haven't been there, they'll be able to tell. They will. Some people are good salespeople and they'll manage to cheat that, but you'll soon get found out when you get on the gym floor with them.
Yeah, if you're not authentic and, true to what you say that you can do, you quite quickly
you will be found out instantly, like instantly. So you should be.
Yeah. So just bringing it back to then, like, how you set up things, you also say that tracking beats motivation. Why do you think that is? And why do people sort of look for motivation when it should be more towards discipline?
Perfect one. Just to touch on motivation first. Motivation's a bit of a myth. It's not. We're all motivated. Everyone's motivated for small pockets, aren't they? Small pockets. There's a point where motivation ends and discipline has to take over. That's where tracking comes in for me. So every single new client, again, doesn't matter where your entry level is, we do some level of testing. We get data on paper, numbers, love numbers.
I'm an accountant.
yeah.
Live on spreadsheets.
Oh, not that much data. That's my idea of hell. But we get data written down because that's your starting points. When we track, and oh my God, I'm sick of telling some clients, not all of them, please fill out True Coach. They're very good at remembering where they are, but if I don't know, I feel like you don't know. So I don't trust that you've done the session. The power of tracking is almost motivation. Prime example of the client I was talking about before who's got the wedding. Prime example. I worked with that client for about three or 4 months, and he was very good, but he was very bitty. Very kind of, I knew he was getting in and I knew he was working to a good level because he's a very disciplined individual. And there was something about it. And I was like, I knew we weren't getting where we wanted to get to. I knew we had more. Very busy individual. So it's very hard to have those conversations sometimes about why isn't it quite moving the way it should? Because I've seen you in the gym. I've seen how hard you work, but there's something missing. He wasn't filling out True Coach, but I knew he was it. True Coach, just for those who don't know, is just a coaching app where you log your lifts and everything. So we sat down at that conversation and we actually took a session away from him. And I think we went to 3 a week. I think we called it Accountability April as just a tagline. It was like, track every single lift, complete every session on True Coach. Don't just do it, track it, write it down, complete it.
Yeah.
If you don't do that, the session doesn't count. He did it for the month. All month, 3 sessions a week, all tracked. From that, every week, he suddenly had something as daft as knowing what he lifted last week. The way we do it, we mark what we've lifted, the rep range we've gone to, and we give it a little score out of 10.
Yeah.
For obviously how hard we found it, certain things of certain age, aims, or we do like reps in reserve as well.
Yeah.
So he can look back and go, last week I did this and I found it this tough. And I remember last week I was either a little bit tired or I was okay or whatever. This week, I'm feeling pretty good. I'm going to maybe up the rep range, hit the top end of the rep range, or if he's already done that, I might pop the weight up a little bit.
Yeah.
It's just giving him something tangible. It's so daft.
Yeah.
But over time, it's how you progress because this particular client does buzz off just beating the numbers, whether it's with reps, sets, or adding weight. It just buzzes off it.
Sometimes it's just about how it actually felt. You could do the same weight and reps, but if it felt easier than last week, that's still progress.
Literally.
I think people get very caught up on just, we need to lift heavier and heavier. It could just be that weight now feels easier.
A conversation we had before we started doing this, he was like, I don't feel like I'm progressing. And I knew he was, but I understood why he wasn't or he felt that way. So I said to him, not only is this going to help you week by week by showing you what you did previous weeks, we look back like over 3 months, you literally see the physical progression. We haven't gone back to retest yet at this point, but we know we're on the right track because even if it's not every week, and of course it's not every week like weight goes up or anything like that, but over the course of the trends, it is consistently trickling up.
Yeah.
And then when it comes to maybe tapering off for a week before a retest, we know that one session it's going to be retest, so we give it welly.
Yeah.
And that's where you see the big jump and you see the progress. And then you've got point A, point B, got this little journey in the middle, but it all stems from this tracking each week.
Yeah. I do it with my clients as well. And I've got one that's coming up to a retest in about 2 or 3 weeks. And she, on a check-in form every week, is like, I'm loving the sessions, I'm loving pushing the weights. And we're slowly coming towards that peak. So we're dropping the rep ranges a little bit. We're working a bit harder. And it is about having those, like, I did this 12 weeks ago. Let's see what I can do in 12 weeks.
Data, everyone likes things tangible. It's all about tangible things constantly. There's a time for like, is it subjective data, like things that can be interpreted slightly different, and then objective data, which is that the right way around?
Yeah, it is.
Oh, thank God.
Subjective can be like based on opinion,
and objective is like it's a number. It's that it's a number. So there is a time for subjective, but objective data makes us all feel great.
Yeah.
That's where numbers, and week by week, if you have a week where motivation dips and you've been tracking, not only me as a coach, I can look back and go, okay, this week can be about maintenance. You're not feeling well. You're feeling under the weather. You just need to get in and maintain this week because we're not going to lose any traction because look at the last month. You've constantly gone bang, 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 up, 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 up. It just opens up conversations. But it's data to fall back on, so it helps motivate the individual as well.
Yeah, well, motivation can come and go, but data's always there.
You don't have a control over a client's motivation, really.
No.
And there's so many factors that affect it away from the gym, lifestyle, things going on in the personal life. But what you've always got is objective data to fall back on and say, yeah, but look, the last couple of weeks, wow, I've had a bad week this week. Everyone's due bad weeks. They happen all the time. But instead of then trying to scramble in your brain because there's nothing logged on True Coach and say, oh no, but you've been doing really good. Deep down, they probably know they've been lifting, but because it's not written down, it's the power of writing stuff down as well. You can't physically go, look, you have been doing good.
Yeah. There's nothing to back it up.
In between testing periods, it's a superpower.
Yeah.
It's so daft because it's writing a couple of numbers after you finish an exercise.
Again, it's that whole who you become along the way. It's not necessarily about the A and the B. It's what happens in between.
It comes into all the cliches of discipline and is the exercise. We set it up so the exercise isn't done if you don't track it. It doesn't count. You've winged it because that's all you do the next week. You come in and you wing it. Oh, I was lifting last week.
Yeah.
You wing it. It might be 10 kilos less. It might be 10 kilos more. So you might actually be going, but you don't know because it's not there. And for the sake of 30 seconds of tracking something, it makes the biggest difference. Some people it motivates because they'll see it each week as I want to beat that this week. I want to beat that this week. Some people, they just hate doing it. Yeah. But they still need to do it just for the progress.
As well, quite a lot of people probably think that you're more bothered about the numbers than you actually are. It's more about the discipline of tracking it. Yeah, the number might not be as good as last week, but it might, for instance, this week it's been roasting. Sleep might be rubbish.
There's always ways around it, but if you don't have that data, you can't.
You can explain the number.
You can't. Again, you don't give me anything as a coach, especially online. You'll see this a lot. If they're not giving you anything, you can't give anything back, and it's frustrating. Some people probably look at it and go, understandably, they'll not fill out True Coach. They'll not give you anything, and they'll think, I'm making Matt's job dead easy. I'm doing it, and you'll see it when I do this retest or this event that I've been doing it. I'm sat there week by week tearing my hair out going, I want to know because I want to know if I'm not second guessing if you're making progress.
You're not going to tell them off. Well, no, in terms of if the number's lower than the week before.
Absolutely not. I'd rather see it lower than not there at all because if it's lower and it's consistently lower, for example, and there is an issue, why are you shying away from an issue? That's what you're paying a coach for, essentially. It comes down to allow me to do my job. Let me do my job. It's not a common problem, to be fair. Usually it's just a little bit of forgetfulness once or twice. There's one or two clients that are serial offenders. I almost give them a pass because I see them all over Instagram doing everything they should be doing because they'll put it on the story.
But that's the thing.
You put it on your story.
You're taking the time to film it.
Like screenshotting a Strava and going, right, what was that? Right, I'll put it in, shall I? But it's that kind of idea of if you... the power of writing things down and tracking is untold. Yeah. It's really boring to a lot of people, but it's how you progress. There's no lie on the correlation between people who track, fill out True Coach, and the people who get the best results, who move along. There is no question the correlation between the success rate and the ones who track. Yeah. It's perfectly in tandem.
I would agree though, because you say if there is something wrong, then that's where you come in and potentially change something, and then it gets back on track. Well, exactly.
It's what you're paying for as well, by the way. Which is
progress isn't linear in the gym. Whether it's weight loss, whether it's weights increasing that you're lifting, it's not a linear graph. It never will be. And if it is, fair play to you. Teach me.
A couple sometimes over 3 months, whoa, every week it's moving in the right direction.
Have you started taking something?
What have you done? And then they'll have 1 week where it goes, all right. God, the human.
Have you started juicing? But going into some movement patterns then. So if someone could learn only one movement pattern for the rest of their life, you would probably say hinge. Why would that be?
You know what? And I'd probably change my mind on that next week. But at the minute, it'd be arguably hinge. There's a lot, isn't there? But hinge in particular, it's a good movement. Number one, I love coaching RDLs. Everyone thinks that they're a nightmare to coach sometimes, but it's such a success when someone who can't naturally hinges. You have this. The reason I think it's so transferable into real life is we have this attitude, which is not incorrect, of lift with the legs. You see that age-old toddler going down to pick up a a toy, perfectly squat, come up, lift up
Makes
the
me
legs.
jealous of the knee
Oh,
mobility.
yeah.
I can't lie.
So genuinely impressive to watch. But a lot of us lose that into adult life because we don't do it enough. You know, the other thing of like the hinge is kind of the next best thing for maybe picking something off the floor, which we do a lot in real life. You know, away from the gym with your movements like RDLs, rat pulls, the top of a deadlift and stuff. If you know how to engage, you know, your body correctly to bend over and pick something up, it reduces the risk of picking up silly little niggles and injuries in real life. Pulling your back out late.
Picking the shopping up or something like that.
Picking the shot, picking a kid up, he jumps up and you've got a hinge. If you're used to doing that in the gym, talking about what is strong, if you, again, perfect example, and a client in his 60s came to me because he had back issues. Actually, and this isn't planned because I haven't told you this, the movement that's kind of opened everything up was a hip hinge. Now, this client could not, for the life of him, do this for the first few months. Funny enough, his job for the last 40, 50 years is a warehouse health and safety supervisor. So everything has been lift with your legs.
Yeah.
Everything. So then which is that age old, lift with your legs, save your back. But then it's like, well, you spent your life never loading your back. You can load your back. You can load your back. It's like anything. If you want a strong back, you have to load it.
Yeah.
In a safe way. Difference between medicine and poison is dosage. Yeah. But you can load your back correctly and get it strong. Hinge is perfect because we're going to move that way in life. Yeah. Unless you're a warehouse supervisor. Trying to get this client to do, it was a rack pull first. We kind of broke him into the good strong start position, ready to hinge the weight up. And what he'd do, just his brain would not let him. He would dip under and then
legs,
like push up with his legs.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how much tension, how great we got that start position. He would dip under the bar and then kind of squat it up. We finally got it. We switched it to an RDL with a kettlebell. We had a whole method and stuff. And then now he's RDLing a lot, which is brilliant to see. And with that has become trust in his back. He realizes that his back's strong enough to take these loads. Now when he plays with his granddaughter, he's in his 60s. He ain't asked to grass squatting to pick her up. He can hinge without second guessing it.
RDL in the kit.
Literally, yeah, pretty much. Put it down really safely instead of just panicking. But it's just so transferable. And I also think that particular movement makes people very aware of how the body's moving because there's a lot to think about when you learn to hinge. Yeah. Squat, back, just sort of like a bodyweight squat. Relatively a simple move, like to explain. A hinge, there's quite a lot to think about as you're doing it, you know, knees, where your hips are going, how your back's aligned. And it just goes through into mindless things in everyday life. With that particular client, it brought a lot of confidence in what he was able to do. And even if he didn't have the grandkid or didn't want to pick up the shop in anything like that, the confidence from loading that hinge movement has took the anxiety away from his back. So I do think anxiety can show itself in niggles and aches and pains. If you're always tense around your back, you're scared of pulling it.
Exactly.
It's going to seize up.
Yeah.
And hinge movements took that away for him. And I think that's across the board because, again, age-old attitudes of don't load your back. Oh, no, God forbid. And it's just every day, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's that transfer into everyday life, I think, for especially the older generation that are in the gym. And obviously one of the main ways that people get injured as they get older is slips, trips and falls. And that's down to things like osteoporosis and
strength training for your bones as well, not just muscles, tendons, bones. People think it's just bodybuilding and getting big arms and big chests, but
it's a bone density. It's
bone density,
muscle wastage as you get older as well.
Work a lot with menopausal women, and we get them doing obviously lifting heavy weights, bone density, the barbells, all that stuff. We get them doing a lot of impact work, very basic plyometrics, because teaching the body to take shock absorption, bones, muscles, tendons, all of it.
Yeah. I saw a video recently on Instagram. It was, I think, a 75-year-old woman had just got into like lifting and stuff like that, and she literally stands up off the couch, no hands or anything. She's now 80, so 5 years on. Some of the things that she's doing at that age is incredible, and she looks as comfortable as I do at 30.
It's never too early to invest in or too late to invest in the future. We've got another thing. I keep slating this country, but I think it's a big culture thing of ours. Like, you hit 30 and everyone goes, I'm just old, aren't I? Yeah. No, you get old when you allow yourself to get old. You go to like Asia or somewhere like that, and because unfortunately working a lot longer than us,
Mm.
they're still squatting down comfortably at the age of, God, 70, 80, deep sitting aster squats, mobile, because they've never stopped doing it, because they've never had to, unfortunately, for different reasons. But the attitude, we just seem to accept it, like, as us British will do anything to just sit on our ass, basically, and go, yeah, I could do it. My back goes, though. I'm 32 now. Like,
it's the limiting belief, isn't it?
It's weird. Obviously, you have a natural decline over age. Of course you do.
I think that only happens because you stop looking after yourself.
We vastly kind of overestimate how big of an excuse that is, though. Cliche of you get old when you let yourself. If you do something every day, the odds, chances are you'll be all right. Apart from a few outward kind of variables, you'll be able to do it forever.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, you look at yourself at maybe 16, 18, you were doing all this exercise, you go in the gym, looking after yourself. And then people hit 30, obviously they have kids, work gets in the way, and they stop looking after themselves as much.
Pattern, isn't it?
So it's not the fact that, like, you're getting old, it's the fact that you've stopped doing the things that you used to do that looked after your body.
And you don't realise some of them, like, just going for, I hate this, but just going for a walk, like, if you've not got the time to go out and be a little bit active that way, like, I can't believe we're in a place where going for a walk counts as activity.
When
like,
people call it,
I understand some people's entry levels have to be that, because that's not to not be celebrated. But as a whole, I don't think walking should be classed as like the
there's a trend where it's called cardio.
I mean,
for me,
it is for some people. It is.
Yeah.
I'm talking as a society, the fact that that's kind of needed, not the fact that people do it. That's amazing. If they don't do anything, they go to that. That's incredible. That's a big step. It's the fact that we've got that far down as society that it's needed to be cardio or something that's celebrated. You're supposed to walk.
Yeah, exactly.
You're supposed to go and hunt some kind of like animal for food. Yeah. But it's just alien to some people, isn't it?
Yeah.
We're too comfortable.
Yeah, I don't like seeing it online when people are calling going for a walk cardio. I'm like, you're just getting your steps in, mate.
Yeah.
Like, you're going for a walk.
I don't know if I'm lucky. I've always enjoyed walking. It's just, it's a privilege to be able to move, even if it's something as like basic as walking.
Yeah.
But again, the correlation between doing things like that and like mental health, and because we're supposed to do it, it's no coincidence that exercise and doing challenging things fills us with good endorphins. Like, it's because your body's made to move.
Yeah.
On a chemical level, we are supposed to move and do difficult shit. It's in our DNA.
Well, I've touched on some of my other podcasts that I think another flaw of this country is the fact that antidepressants are handed out so readily. Yeah. Like, within maybe a 5-minute discussion with a doctor, you're quickly handed some, I don't even know what the name of them are, the antidepressants. And there's studies that have came out that exercise is as good, if not better, than SSRIs. Yeah. And it's like quite a lot of people, if they sorted the diet out, they sorted the movement out, they'd feel a lot better in themselves.
It's not focused on enough from the ground up. So I'm a big believer in education. Like, I think these things should be talked about. And whether they are, they might be, 32 now, school was a long time ago. They might be spoken about in school. But in terms of like, antidepressants and the doctors, they just need you out the room. But they need you out the room and not doing something silly to yourself. So try these.
I'm saying there's not a place
for them. No,
there's a place for them. But the everyday average person, if they literally got moving more, sorted the diet out, the sleep out, actually got to the root cause of why they're not feeling good in themselves, they're going to feel a lot better. And they won't
might not solve everything. I'm a big advocate for the gym, and movement absolutely not a substitution for therapy and things like that, working on yourself in other ways.
Yeah, there's a place for
part of a journey. Like, it's another discussion that we'll do a whole other podcast on, probably. That one of like, this is my therapy. Oh, it's not. Please go and talk to someone.
Yeah. I've never gone in the gym and came out feeling worse.
No. It's another cultural now, isn't it, for us?
Yeah, 100%. So then going into the sort of the big three, so to speak, the squat, the bench, the deadlift, do you think everyone should be able to squat?
Yeah.
As just a general, I don't know, I guess a baseline of fitness. Yes. And where would you say someone needs to start?
So, a big one. So again, right, this comes down to, why are we squatting? What is the purpose of us squatting? Paired with, again, entry level, because we have that vast, or I work with that vast kind of array of new beginner, seasoned athlete.
Yes.
So where they lie on that spectrum and why we have them squatting is a big two questions. So an entry-level person who's never squatted before, bodyweight squats, goblet squats, box squats if they need the support, if they're maybe, less mobile and maybe a slightly older client, all the way to if our clients come in who've very, very experienced, you can pop a barbell on the back straight away, ass to grass, gorgeous squat. But then even then, the question comes, right, what are we doing in this phase of training that is towards whatever goal you have as to how we're going to squat? So in my mind, I split up in my mind between are we building muscle? Are we building pure strength? Are we looking to power lift? Or are we looking to weight lift? And those kind of four things are all slightly different. So obviously muscle building becomes muscle building, and that in a squat sense, it's, are we trying to target quads? Are we trying to target hamstrings, glutes? Because that changes. And then that's on someone's anatomy as well. How are they built? How long are their femurs? How shallow are their hips? How flexible is maybe their Achilles and their ankles? All these things come into it. Then if you're looking for pure strength, is that to you? So to me, it is literally barbell squat. It could be a front squat in that demand. It could be an overhead squat if someone's weird, or really risky. But there's more openness there. But it would be just moving the max amount of weight in that movement. With strength, strict strength, I always think about it as well. We assess weaknesses with other movements as well. So whilst somebody might want a back squat and they might not be able to get quite as deep or something, or maybe we jump on a leg press in the meantime to get a little bit more depth, why we use the squat pattern at a lighter capacity, but a lower depth. That's an example there. Then you've got powerlifting where it's a sport. So there's a lot of specifics. Is it high bar, low bar, like literally more specifics? And then weightlifting's a little bit more in my mind in prep for like Olympic lifting. So it'd be high bar and, low, getting under snatches, getting under cleans and stuff. So there's so many variables, but the method kind of stays the same. So the first question has to be, why are we squatting? Why? That is number one. If you're entry level, so again, if it's a goblet squat because you're entry level, that then becomes like, still, why are we squatting? Is it to move on to a barbell, which is usually the aim? We want to get you under a barbell or maybe onto a machine first where we can load a little bit more, then under a barbell. So we might start with a slightly higher rep range to get you used to the load. We might try and bring you up until we hit a capacity where you can no longer hold that front load goblet. We might pop you on a machine if you're not quite ready. But all the time you're getting stronger and more mobile, just going through the movement, because the best way to get good at something is doing it. Yeah. Just so I could talk about, especially the squat all day. But one thing that you see across the board, see with other coaches, people in the gym, they don't know why they're doing things. Yeah. The squat's a great example because it'll touch all bases. If you don't know why you're doing it, there's these little variables. Does it mean you're doing it to the best kind of, are you doing these little adaptations you can make? Are they the most efficient to what you're trying to get from it?
Yeah. And I guess as a client, if you don't know why you're doing something, ask your coach.
Massively, please, or your coach should know, ideally, because they'll be programming it. But I've got a really tall client at the minute who's squatting very, very strong. A lot of forward tilt, a lot of hinge because long femurs, so has to lean forwards. Still a good squat. If he turns to me and was like, we're squatting to build my quads, I'd be like, no, you're fucking not. Mm-hmm. We need to adapt that. We'd need to maybe look at elevating his heels and bringing that. Like, it's down to tiny little things like that. Why are we doing it? It's simple as.
Yeah. Well, it's like I've got a client who plays hockey. So a lot of her gym workouts are to make her stronger to play hockey. They're the reasons why those exercises are planned in. And if you don't know why your exercises are planned in, ask your coach.
A lot of mine, same for you, is just strength. We want to move heaviest load possible from point A to point B. Yeah. It's very rare that you work with like power lifter or Olympic weightlifter, or it's very rare that I do. Yeah. It's very much strict strength, usually for a sport. So it is just lift as much. And then the argument comes in, if you want to target certain muscle groups with the squat in particular in a different way, there might be a more optimal way to do it. But I'm a big believer in the big three of squat, press, pull. it's great to be lifting in some capacity in all three and getting as strong as you possibly can in all three. And that's a lot how I program for everyone. Same method, but different kind of, executions and different outcomes, I guess, because they've all got different ideas of why they're doing stuff.
Yeah, you can do the same exercise in completely different ways to get different results. So then, moving into bench press then, why do you think bench has become the sort of king of gym culture?
Oh, it looks good, doesn't it? It's something about getting under. It's actually, when you think into it, a really good question, because why? I would actually, the feeling I think most people get from bench to think it's the one. It's always on all the logos and everything, isn't it?
It's probably the smallest weight though. Well, it is the
And
smallest weight of the
it's
three.
the least, in my opinion, the least variable, apart from maybe
Putting it on an incline.
yeah,
Or
like
grabbing something
incline,
else.
like arching your back, stripped flat, like against the bench. It's pressing, isn't it? It's because it builds that big chest, isn't it? It's the strong chest kind of idea of probably coming from like Biani. It
Yeah.
must come from that still, but it's still an important movement, a press movement. And it still comes to the same principle of why are we bench pressing? If you're looking to build a big chest, I would argue there are better movements than a barbell bench press.
I actually don't do it.
No,
Incline dumbbells is the one.
incline dumbbells, brilliant exercise. Even like a chest press machine,
Yeah.
take the stability aspect out of the movement.
I actually love the
concentrate
ISO
on the graph.
bench machine.
Like
in the
anything
gym.
where bench could be quite restricting as well,
Yeah.
and it can compensate one side to other. So in bodybuilding, where symmetry is obviously massively important, you're using a lot of energy. If we're talking about bodybuilding now, unracking and stabilizing in terms of stimulus to that movement you want, that drive up and down. I would argue you're going to get a much better stimulus jumping on something where you can take the stability aspect out, even if it's a Smith machine or a chest press machine. If we're talking about what I believe is strict strength, this is where I like the barbell bench press because I use it a lot. I think there's a reason powerlifting is squat, deadlift,
It's all
bench.
barbell, isn't it?
It's all barbell
It's all the
because
same piece of-
strength doesn't, and this is personal opinion, it doesn't have to be how much you can just, it's not about how much you can just push up and down. When you're on a free weight, it's how much are you stabilizing? You know, it's how much weight you are completely and utterly in control of, because there's no Smith machine giving you a little assist. There's no chest press machine kind of. It's where you see mad testing in the gym and people like got 1 rep max on chest press. Like, okay, if that's driving you, perfect, but it's just a really odd piece of data to me.
Yeah.
Like,
It's a bit of a random one, isn't
it's like just, you know, it's doing a lot of the, it's not doing the work for you, but it's why the free weight side of it to me becomes really impressive. You are 100% in control of it. That to me is strength.
Yeah.
And then you're pressing it up and down. You're taking it through a range of motion. You're not just strong holding it at the top. You are taking it through that range of motion where things shorten and lengthen and you still stabilize. And that's where it becomes really impressive.
Yeah. Well, it's directly against gravity in all three movements, isn't it? Whereas the chest press machine is on a big cable and it's moving a weight up and down and you're pushing this way outwards.
Brilliant for certain things, but it's just something about that control aspect. I think it might, going back to what you asked, sorry about why has it become the one? I think it's a bit of a macho thing, isn't it? You're under the weight. There's like a lot can go wrong. Like, what's your bench? Like, God, mine's awful. It's got big long arms, but it's like it's just something great about doing it. Not everyone likes it. When we talk about press on elevate, it may be I'm getting everyone towards having the confidence. It's not all about the numbers sometimes for some clients. It's about the confidence to get under a barbell and bench it, and their face when they do it, or the face when they get those 20s either side for the first time and do it. You've got the big biscuits on. And it probably stems from the buzzing because it's the gym movement and they're doing it with big biscuits either side for the first time and they go, oh yeah, like I belong in the gym now. That's great. Like it must just be a macho thing, which is odd because again, I'd see other things for more efficient for actually building that big macho chest.
Yeah. I mean, I think it is purely just because all three are on barbells. They're all going against gravity directly, whereas machines can be hit and miss. You can't compare the same two machines, really. So then moving into the deadlift. Deadlift's a bit of a controversial one because obviously some people swear by it. Some people think it's dangerous, which I would agree that it can be dangerous if done wrong. It's the easiest movement if you think about it in the gym because you are literally picking something up. but it's also very easily done wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So where do you stand on the deadlift? I know you just said it's your favorite.
Just whisper that in. I love them, and it's probably massively down to personal opinion again. I absolutely love it because it's just picking heavy shit up off the floor. It's so everyday life, and it's usually, well, it is. It's people's big one. It's the most weight. It's the most ego tickling. It's brilliant. And when it's done correctly, perfectly safe. I love coaching it. Absolutely love coaching it because it brings new challenges with everyone. There's a hell of a lot of variables with it. Do we do trap bar? Do we do conventional? Do we do sumo? I'm very biased towards trap bar. Very, very biased. I think it minimizes risk for a lot of people, but it just stems from it's picking a heavy weight off the floor, standing there proud as you come up. It's up. You lock it out and then you can just drop it if you want, or control it down. Please control it if you go to transfer. I'll get a shout at that with Headon and things.
Or the lifting platform's broken too.
Yeah. But it's just that kind of idea. For me, between that and a pull-up, for me, is a big, major showcase of strength. Again, big free weight. Only I say a pull-up because I think strength's always relative to body weight as well. So I think a pull-up's a perfect jet-like visible representation of that. But deadlifts as well, yes, they can be dangerous, but there's so much benefit to them as well. Again, you go back to why you're doing it.
Why are you doing body strength, isn't it?
Full body strength. If you're doing it for hypertrophy, it's probably not the best.
No.
I love it. And there's room in exercise and strength training for what might be talked about as being like placebo effects. So I've been, obviously, I've been in bouts when I'm boxing where I like fighting on the inside, probably a little bit too much. And you're sat and you're leaning on someone, you're in your stance, you crouch down, you're pushing them about. I know, and this is an age-old about sport-specific S&C as well. You'll do a deadlift and you'll see dickheads on Instagram go, how does this help me in boxing? Yeah. How does this mimic a punch? Fucking doesn't. Obviously it doesn't. Yeah. One's standing up with heavy stuff, one's throwing a dig. But whether it's placebo or directly applicable, that moment where someone's pushing against me and I'm driving my feet through the ground to push them off, you're telling me a deadlift, a strong deadlift isn't helping me there? Of course it is. And even if it isn't directly on a muscular strength level, it certainly is on a placebo mental effect, which is a massively powerful tool to have as well. So I just love them. I love them. I probably love them selfishly because they're probably my best lift. Yeah. So I just like doing them. They're the ones that I haven't done one for about 6 months now. It's killing me. Absolutely, I'm getting made to squat a lot more by my coach at the minute. Yeah. So I'm slowly falling in love with squatting as well. But obviously, big lanky boy. It's not as good for the ego. It's really not. But deadlifts, you get a very bad rep. And if they're coached well and they're done correctly, like in my experience, might be yours with your clients as well, clients fall in love with them.
Yeah. But this is the thing. So obviously there's a bit of a craze about newbies wanting to deadlift because they see the videos, it looks good. People lifting heavy weights look strong. I'm always cautious over doing it because obviously I coach online. So the only way I can review someone is by them going and doing it and sending.
They've already done it. You're not there at the moment.
Exactly. Yeah. So before I ever put, a deadlift through, I would give them loads of coaching advice, like send videos. Like usually videos better than what I can do as well. So I've used other sort of strength coaches, people like, the Australian strength coach.
Mate, absolutely.
Great videos.
Absolutely. I discovered him about a month ago, just came across him. Maybe he'll watch this. He is hands down probably my favorite Instagram account now, and probably will be for the remainder of my coaching career. The way he speaks and his attitudes towards training are so brilliant. Yeah. So brilliant. I listened to a podcast of his yesterday, to be fair. Yeah. He's phenomenal.
Honestly, I have no shame in sending someone else's content. If it's better than a video, I can potentially do.
He's been in my my team chat several times the past couple of weeks because not to be like, oh my God, we think the same. Yeah. He explains things in a very similar way, a much more kind of experienced way sometimes. So I've took videos and it's almost like to my clients going, I told you so. Look at this dude who's obviously training Thor, the strongest man on the planet. I'll say, told you so. There's a little, I didn't even know this dude was a month ago and I've been saying this for years, but it's a little ego one, but he's absolutely phenomenal. Like genuinely one of the best. It's very rare I obsess with other coach accounts. I love learning, love going across, but I will sit and watch 3-4 of his videos instead of doom scrolling of a night at the minute, because at least I'm taking something on board from it.
Yeah, and there's no harm in forwarding a video. If someone's explained something, and obviously they've got it in a big studio and it looks great, propping your phone up against the water bottle in the gym sometimes doesn't quite cut the mustard. But yeah, sometimes you fall on people with better experience. And like you say, he's training for
Yeah.
the world record deadlift.
He said in that podcast, I think it was great, he said, as a strength coach, there is no greater kind of feat to be the coach of the world's strongest man. Exactly. It's just like, wow, like pretty impressive, and just comes across a very nice, genuine dude as well.
Yeah,
like,
really knows his stuff.
Really cool, so knowledgeable.
So to wrap it up then, fast forward 5 years, someone's followed your philosophy consistently. What does that person look like? Not physically, but how do they move, feel, and live?
You're talking about someone who might be brand new to it all.
Either brand new or, well, yeah, the 5 years along the journey. Say they start from now to 5 years.
5 years. So say they're just, obviously, with strength comes like confidence. Confident, disciplined, motivated individual, all those kind of attractive traits that we probably spoke about that come from looking at someone's physique sometimes. Obviously, compositional wise, physique wise, they will have changed for the better. Train like an athlete, look like an athlete, get strong, the rest will follow, all that jazz. But, you know, clients that I've worked with for 2.5 years, 3 years before, they're just happier people. They're just confident. Some start their journey as ghosts and they end our journey together, because theirs carries on, as brilliant, confident personalities, and they walk with their head held high. Work, home, social life all goes up because of that person they are. It just drip feeds into absolutely everything.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
But no, I think you hit it on the head, really. Obviously, that's that baseline level of strength will then just pass over into everyday life, essentially, and you will become that confident, stronger person and doing literally
drip feeds
anything.
into everything.
Yeah.
You do hard shit in the gym, you realise you're capable of hard shit.
Yeah.
It drip feeds into everyday life. You know what you're capable of.
Exactly. So what would one final piece of advice that you would give to someone that's looking to start out?
Again, sounds like a cheesy tagline, but it is: focus on getting strong. Everything else will follow from that. Find out something that is important to you, that gives you that drive, motivation, that little kick up the arse. Learn how to, lift weights, and that comes as part of the package. But focus on getting the most capable version of you for that goal. Everything else will fall into place. The next thing will fall into place. The next thing after that will fall in place. If you've got fat loss, compositional goals, that'll fall into place. Everything becomes easier if you just focus on getting strong.
And where can everyone find you?
Everyone can find me on Instagram at Matt_ElevateSNC. Or if you're local to obviously the Widnes area, I work over at Transfit Widnes on the gym floor. It's a great gym, just done it up as well. It's a brilliant place to obviously be working out of, so you can always find me there too. Usually having a coffee in the coffee shop. I'm not with the client.
I'll put all your links in the description below. But thank you very much for coming on.
No, thank you for having me.
Guys, if you've enjoyed this one, drop a like. If you're new, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.